Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, and thanks for stopping by and watching. In this spray paint art video, I'll be trying out the MTN Hardcore Spray Paint to see what it's like for spray paint art. So the MTN Hardcore Spray Paint comes in a 400ml can and has an high pressure valve system. It also comes with a standard skinny cap. The lacquer base is modified alkyd. It has a gloss finish and there are around 142 colours in the range. And the price per can may vary depending on what country you live in. In the UK it's around £4.45 a can. And the colours I'll be using are Glacier Blue, Iceberg Blue, Black and White. Right, before I go any further, I'd just like to say these are my own thoughts and findings about how well MTN Hardcore Spray Paint works for making spray paint art. Right then, the first thing I'm going to do is a cap test to see how the cap sprays. So I'll be using the stock cap that comes with the cans in this video, which is a standard skinny cap. And I'll be doing a cap test on a 4-inch wide piece of glossy card. Right then, before you use the cans, make sure you give them a good shake for at least 2 minutes each. And when you get them, there'll be a plastic cap on them like this. This is only there to protect the cap so it doesn't spray everywhere while in transit. So I'll be doing the cap test with the black spray paint. This is the first time I've used the MTN Hardcore Spray Paint. So the first thing to do is when you get the cans to take the cap off. So it just comes off like that. Place that to one side. Move this out of the way. Remember, give the cans a good shake, at least 2 minutes each. I'm just going to bring some of the paint through. So I'll be doing a cap test on this piece of glossy card here. So as you saw, the cap produced a thin line, about 1–1.5 inches wide, and didn't really let too much paint out, considering it's an high pressure can, but we're using the skinny cap on it, so it'll let less paint out, which is good. So I'll give you a closer look at this. So now the cap test is out of the way, I'm going to see what it's like to paint with. So for this space painting I'll be using glossy card, which is A2 in size. And the materials I'll be using are some lid stencils. These are just lids off food tubs. Different size ones. I'll be using a metal paint scraper. I'll be using a palette knife to sign the painting with at the end. I'll be using this cone shaped food tub with a hole in the bottom. And also some plastic sheets. These are from a bag that are cut up so it's easier to use. These will be used to make the texture in the painting. So the first thing we're going to do is do the outlines of the planet. So place the lid stencils on the sheet where you want your planets to go. I think I'm going to have 5 in this one, so I'm going to have them somewhere like this. And then get a colour, and then we're going to spray round them to give you the outlines. So I'll just pull some of this paint through. We're just going to spray round them. So quite like that cap and valve system. So just see what it's like for spraying with. So I'll lightly press the cap. Doesn't let too much paint out. Yeah, press the cap down lightly, not much paint. Press it down hard, gives a good burst of paint out. Quite like that valve system and the cap. So now we've got the outlines of the lids. We'll take the lids back off and place them out of the way for later on. So what we'll do now is fill the outlines in with some colours. So do the big one first. So see, it soon fills it up. I'm only pressing the cap down lightly, but it doesn't let too much paint out, which is nice. You don't have too much paint in one spot on your planets when you're putting the paint down, because if you have too much paint down, it pools, and then when you put another coat of paint over it, different colour, it separates because the layer underneath is too thick. So it like draws the layer on top out. So just pull some paint through this, and we'll just add some of this over the top. So you press it light, comes out real nice and thin, not too much. Yeah, I quite like this valve system on these. I like a bit more of this. Now we'll get the black, spray this up there, and then the white, I'll just pull some of this white through, and then the white this side. Bit of spitting, but that could be just because not enough paint comes through the cap. Right, so now we've got the colours and the black and white down. We'll get the material we're using to make a texture with. Like I said, I'm going to be using this plastic sheet, which is a bag that I've cut up. So just crunch it up a bit, get some lines on it for your texture. Then we'll place it on the sheet where you want your texture to go. Then give it a light rub. Then pull it back to reveal the texture. Quite like that texture, so I'm going to leave it like that. Now we'll add the highlights and shadows to it. So first one, we'll add the highlights this side. I think what I might do, I might add a bit of colour to this one here first. So we're just going to mist it, so we're pressing the cap down lightly. Oh, that gives a real nice mist, this does, just by pressing the cap down lightly. So we'll get the white now and just go over it slightly, just mist the same. Just a case of building the colours up. So now we're going to go black this side, do the shadowed area. And that'll do. So that's the highlights and shadows done on that planet. So we'll move on to the smaller ones now. Give a darker blue first, I think. Gives you good control as well where the paint goes. See, because I'm not covering this up, and this one's got the highlight on here, but there's not much overspray or anything off the can or the cap when spraying it, which is nice. So just put a bit more dark blue in there, and like a bit of black. As you can see there, you see what I mean about putting too much paint down before putting another layer of paint down. Can you see there where the paint's slightly starting to separate? That's because there's too much paint underneath this layer of black. So it's pulling the paint, like soaking the black up. Now we'll get the white. I think I might do all these planets quick. Put some colour in them. So just same process. Just add the colours first. Might just do this one black and white, this one. So that's all the paint on for the planets. So we'll give a check the plastic bags or whatever material you're using. Place it on the sheet where you want your texture. Just lightly rub it. There's quite a bit of paint down on this one, so you can go back over it if you want, take a bit more colour off, a bit more paint off. And if you've got some black or whatever colour underneath still left on your bag, you can always just add a few black spots here and there, whatever colours. So I'll have a texture on that one, so I'm going to leave that one. This next one here, I'm just going to fold the paper in half, and we'll get it and place it on the sheet, and we're just going to turn it just slightly. So I quite like that one, so I'll leave that one. So I'll go to this top one here. This one's just a black and white one, but it might have a bit of colour on it from when I was testing the cap here and there. So I'll have a texture on that one, so I'll leave that one. Now move on to this last one here. So I'm going to give a sheet of plastic I'm using. I'm just going to crease it in a different way so you get different lines on it. So you get like lines like that on it. And then we'll just place it over and give it a light rub. So it gives you a different form of texture, different texture on the planet. So I quite like that. I'm going to leave that one like that. So that's all the texture on the planets. So now we're going to add the highlights and shadows to these ones. So highlights first. So with the white, just mist this edge. But just make sure if you do it this way that you don't spray white onto these other planets. Just after a mist on this, not too much white. Do like these valve systems and the caps, give you nice control over where the paint's going and how much is coming out. So now we'll add the shadow to the planets. So we've just got to watch out here now on this planet here where I've put the highlight already on the big one. So and then same with this one. And this one. And then this moon up here. Yeah, see, it gives you nice control over where the paint's going. Not much overspray or anything. Not much splatter when it hits a paint, glossy card. Doesn't go everywhere. So I quite like these. Quite nice to use. I really like how these have turned out so far. Considering we're using an high pressure can, normally an high pressure can lets a lot of paint out. But because we've got a skinny cap on them, it's restricting the paint coming out, which is good. And as you can see, there's not much overspray on any of these, or nothing, and they've turned out pretty well. I quite like them, nice. Like the colours as well. So now we have the highlights and shadows on the planet. It's time to put the lid stencils back on. But ideally you want the paint to be dry before placing the lid stencils on. Because if the paint's still wet and you place your lid stencil on, it'll leave a ring on your planet where the lid's sat. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and place the lid stencils on while the paint is wet. So if it does leave a ring on the planet, when I pull the lids off, you can see what I mean. First of all, we'll get a big lid stencil, put it over here. The paint's still pretty wet, I can see. So we'll just see what happens when I take the lids off later. So just remember to get some of the shadowed area and the highlighted area of the planet. So I'm going to put that one there. So just drop that on there. We'll get this one here. Place that on there. Next one. Place that on there. And I'm going to have that one. There. And then on the moon, I'm going to have it there. So there are all the lid stencils on. There's a bit of stuff here on the painting. Something must have fell onto it. Right, so there are all the lid stencils on, so we'll move on to the background. First of all, I think I might add a bit of colour to it. Quite like these colours. See where I can put some colour. Fact, yeah, I'm going to put a bit. I'm going to put a bit there, I think. Just here. So you press it hard, the cap, lets quite a lot of paint out. Add a bit of a lighter blue. I'll add a bit of black onto it, over the top of it. Just watch out when you get next to your lid stencils, just spray a bit lighter so you don't get any leaking underneath your lid stencil. I think this colour will look better over the black. So I'm just going to get a piece of the plastic, the bag that I've cut up. I'm just going to place on here, do a bit of texture in the background. Not much, don't want much here. Like I say, if you get too much paint on your plastic or whatever, you can always get another sheet, clean sheet, and then you don't put all the black over the colours that you're pulling off. See, so you got mostly black on there, so if you went to put it back over the top, this black would come back off and go onto the sheet and then cover your colours up. Thing I'll do there, just a bit of colour, just a bit of colour over the top. So now we'll get the black and fill the rest of the sheet in. So like I said, just go spray it a bit lighter around your lid stencils. There's no rush when you're doing this, just take your time, enjoy what you're painting. I do like this valve system. Doesn't let too much paint out. Got good control over the cap and that. Press it lightly, not much. Press it heavy. Hard down the cap. Quite a bit comes out. Fills up pretty fast. Nice. So you press the cap all the way down now. It's filling up. Real nice. So just get the black across there. So that's a black done. Now we'll get some colours. So I'm going to use a glacier blue. I'm just going to mist a bit across here, across the top here. See what it's like for misting the colours. So just press it lightly. Bit of splatter there, but that's because I never pressed the cap down hard enough. Quite like that, the mist. So black, fade the colour back into a black. Quite like that top part, so I'm just going to add some colours to it. Just like go over black, mist it a bit, so put like a bit of space gas or something in there. You can put whatever you want in there. I really like how these mist. So add a bit of a lighter colour. Yeah, I do like having mist. I'll go back to the darker blue. I'll go back to black. Like I said, it's just building up the background now. I do like that. Gives a nice fade. Black does into the colours. Yeah, I like that. I might just get a bit more black here and just bring it a bit darker there. Around the back of there. So I like that. Just fade it a bit more there like that. Fade out a bit out there. A bit round there. In fact, I might just get a bit of black here up the top and just put a bit of slightly black along the top. Just pressing the cap lightly. Yeah, I like how that is. So now the background's done, we're going to add some stars to it. So what you want to do is spray some onto your finger there, the white spray paint. So you end up with something like that. And then what you want to do is, once you sprayed on your fingers, flick it away from the painting a couple of times to get most of the paint off your fingers, and then flick it onto the sheet. This way you won't get big white blobs on your painting that don't look like stars. So spray some on your fingers and then flick your fingers onto the sheet to make your stars. You can add as many or as little stars as you want onto a painting, it's up to you how many you add. Right, that's enough small stars. I'll just a couple there on the back of this planet. Yeah, that's it. So there's the small stars done, so I'll just wipe my fingers with this white paint. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is add a big star to the painting using a metal paint scraper. I think I'll put it here somewhere, but ideally you'd have it here if the painting was bigger, so the light coming off the star would be coming this way onto the planets. But because I'm just trying out the paint, I'm just going to try one here, I think. Do one here. So with the white spray paint, you want to spray it here into the middle somewhere, and then the overspray will produce your lines for the stars. So I'm going to put one here, I think. So do spray it. As you see, you can get a build up of paint on this scraper, so you don't want too much on it so it runs off and drops onto your painting and leaves the big white blobs on it. So if you get too much white paint on your scraper, just give it a wipe off, get your paint off, and then you're alright to go again. Just keep an eye on that. See? And with it being an high pressure cannon now, and if you press the cap too far down, you'll let a lot of paint out. Just getting used to the caps and the cans, to how far to press it to let how much paint out. So we'll do another line here. So now I'm going to wipe that clean, just in case. So the first line I put in wasn't as neat as these ones here, so I've just done it again there. So put another one in here. So they're the lines for the stars, quite like them, nice and neat. You could make them bigger if you wanted, just by extending them. So the next thing we're going to do is add some white into the middle of a star, but I'm not sure how big of a dot these produce, so I'm just going to try it on here first. Might work well. Just press the cap lightly, produce a nice small dot. So I'm going to go and spray it onto here into the middle of this star. So I quite like how that's turned out. So now we've added the big star to the painting, I'm going to add some other stars in using a cone-shaped food tub with the hole in the middle. These are going to be a bit bigger than the stars we put on with our fingers. So with the white spray paint, we're just going to spray the paint through this onto the painting. And these will produce smaller stars. I think I'll have one here, so we just spray it through like that, just some smaller stars. I've one up here, one there. You could also add some coloured stars. So I'll get the blue and I'll put one down here, so spray to make like a biggish colour there. Now we can get a lighter blue and put it a bit closer. Spray in the middle. Like that, and then finally we could get a white. Spray in the middle of a lighter blue. Gives you like a glowing star, a colourful star glowing. Add a few more stars, I think. It's up to you how many you add in. I use a lighter coloured one. We can just put it over again and then spray like that, and then the white, then just get that and then just spray a bit of white in the middle like that. Just add a couple more thing white, one there. So the closer you are to the painting with this, the smaller the stars are, the further you away the bigger they are. Just add one up here, I think. So I think that'll do for them stars. So now it's time to take the lid stencils back off. So like I said, the lid stencils went on when the paint was wet, so the lids most probably are stuck to the paint. So we'll have a look as they're coming off. Just take your time and lifting the lids. So that's the moon. That wasn't really stuck. So now this one. Just take your time. That's a bit more stuck there. So I think this one's going to be stuck as well. So just really take your time with this, because the background's still wet. And if you rush, then you might smudge the background. Yeah, this is stuck, this one is. Just take your time. It'll come. There. Just put these lids out of the way for a minute. So they're the lid stencils off the planet, and I really like how they've turned out. I like the moon and I like the texture on the planet, and I really like the colours, the two blues. And as you saw when I was trying to lift the lid stencils off, they were stuck a bit to the paint. That's because I put them on while the paint was wet. And also, the ring I was on about that gets left if you put them down, if you put the lid stencils on when the paint's wet. Can you see the ring there around this big planet there? That's only caused because you put the lid stencil on while the paint was wet. If these would have been dry, the planets, you wouldn't have this ring on the planet. I quite like the way this star turned out, a big star, lines were nice, and also didn't produce much of a spray of white when I did the middle of it, which is also good. So that's the painting finished. So the last thing we're going to do is sign the painting. So like I said, I'm going to be using the palette knife. I'm going to sign it here, I think. So the paint's a bit too dry. It has signed it, but not gone all the way through. If the paint's a bit too dry when you come to sign it, you can always use a marker pen or a paint pen, something like this, and just sign your name. So I think the MTN Hardcore worked really well for spray paint art. The standard skinny cap that came with the can worked really well and didn't let too much paint out. I was surprised how well it worked being on a high pressure can. If I was going to use the MTN Hardcore for spray paint art, then I would just use the stock cap as it worked really well. The paint took a little longer to dry than some other brands, but that's not a bad thing, sometimes it's a good thing. The high pressure valve system worked really well with the standard skinny cap and gave a good control over how much paint came out when pressing the cap down with different pressures. It may just take a bit of practice getting used to the pressure and how far to press the cap down when doing different things. But overall, I really enjoyed painting with the MTN Hardcore Spray Paint. I really liked how the painting has turned out. I found it nice to use and the colours I used were nice and bright. And also, just remember to take your time, enjoy while you're painting, and let each layer stage dry before moving on to the next. So I'll just give you a closer look of the painting. So I hope you found the information in this video helpful and enjoyed watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for stopping by and watching. I hope to see you all in the next spray paint art video. Have a great day, take care and bye for now.